can't hold them down for long. It was kind of more about the game tonight. You saw how many pitchers that they used, and try to make it a little more difficult for them to match up was where people were at, was the root of it. Certainly things we can and will look at, but it's game to game. I think it was good. It worked out. We scored 10 runs. I wouldn't attribute it to the way I wrote the lineup card at all. It was more about the game tonight.
And with the game tonight, then what were the guys sort of doing pretty well?
I think it was good to get back here. We've had 2 good days. We had a good day yesterday. Yesterday, Monday? Yeah, okay. We had a good day yesterday. And then we practiced before batting practice again today and just got some things, cleared up, crystallized. And it wasn't anything new. It was just some reinforcement to some of our principles offensively. And they're in a good spot. It's a tough weekend. We all know. But, I'll coach these guys any day.
Is Cade okay?
Yeah, he wasn't feeling very good. And so that was... and that happened late, in the warm-up cycle. But I think he'll be fine. Just because you guys have all been wondering, Guidry is going to have a procedure on Friday. He'll be out for the season. To give you a little bit of history on it, the last time he pitched was February 7th. That was the Friday before the season. He was scheduled to pitch on 2/19. Threw a bullpen prior to that. Everything was fine. Woke up not feeling well. We got an MRI on the 20th, okay? And then we did some treatment on the 25th. And then we began the throwing program again. It's fine. Again, this is back-related. This isn't arm-related. And we got down the road and then tried some more treatment. And after he bullpenned, he threw a bullpen at Texas on Sunday at Texas. It didn't really respond to that. So instead of doing some treatment and medicine, I felt like there was a deeper rooted issue. But we tried one more round of it, and then he I don't even know what that means on 317, but we tried another bullpen on 325, and then tried one more round, and it just didn't take. And so there you have the deal. And luckily for us, those guys, Rizzi, Williams, Myers, you can add those guys as guys we're really excited to add to the mix of Cowan, Evans, and the starters. And tough break for Gavin, but we'll be fine.
How do you take the news?
He was sad, when it finally came to it. And then we actually, Friday was kind of like a one last ditch effort after he had saw the doctor to see if we could do one more thing that was a little bit, from kind of a new source, and it didn't really take. And I think there's some peace of mind now. But we were trying to get him back, and he was trying to get back. And then kind of last week, it just got to, can't do it. So there you go. There's a full scope. So everybody knows I was telling the truth the entire time.
Yep.
You said he's scheduled, is it Friday?
Friday. Yeah, Friday. So feel good about that. And the recovery, which was a positive, is much shorter than we thought. We feel like it's about a 3 to 4 month recovery. So the anticipation is he should be able to pitch next year.
And with Katie Beatty, just like he's sick.
Yeah, not feeling good.
Coach, the bottom of the fourth tonight, you guys.
And we have a little had a little bit going around the team too, and so that's, I think they'll all be fine. Unfortunately, Luis had it too, so I don't know if it was a catching drill that they did that, but we got him out of the game in the 6th, and it was immediate to the training room. I pulled one of the trainers out and just you go take care of this man because he's a warrior, because he was not feeling very good either. So, going around the team. Proud of Luis for stepping in and doing that tonight, and proud of Blaze for coming in. He hadn't caught in a while, and he did a great job in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Those were our best 3 pitched innings of the night.
At the bottom of the 4th inning, you guys had 2 outs.
Yeah, it was awesome.
5 singles in a row. How good did that feel?
Yeah, it was great. We call those 5-pointers, and what I mean by that is 2 outs, nobody on. In one of our inter squad games, if a team scores a run with 2 outs and nobody on base, they get 5 points for their team. And so to get 4 of them is pretty awesome. And I loved the nature of it, especially, coming off struggling for a couple games, hard and low line drives, that's kind of how our team is built. And contagious hitting, if you want to call it that, momentum hitting. One of my favorite innings of the year, honestly. And we needed it right there, too. And I think it was great because it allowed, those pitchers that came in and did such a great job to just kind of focus on pitching. And so it was a really good night. And that was a root of that, for sure.
Friday night, Maverick, you mentioned, just had a good outing where he had
Yeah,
battle. And
he
then
did.
Tonight, just kind of backs
He
it
was
up.
dominant. Yeah, he's getting better every time out. Same with Jacob. Same with Cooper. Super excited about the future of our pitching staff, for the rest of this year and in the years to come. And the way those guys are developing with every outing, I think is, when you get Kaysen and Cowan throwing so good, they're getting all the attention as they should. But these guys have been working really hard. Coach Eski, I've mentioned several times, is doing a great job bringing guys along. Jamie obviously helps out too. So it's just really good to see the fruits of that. Like those pitches tonight for all three of those guys get anybody out. And that's a great team. That somebody just told me they had the longest winning streak in the country or something like that coming into tonight. So really good to see that out of those three guys. And William was great too. And Benj did what Benj does. He got us out of that inning. We really needed that because William was cruising. And then all of a sudden it's like to hit the homer and there's two guys on base and it's like, all right, let's get this taken care of. And Connor came in and did a great job right there.
Do you feel like you're finding a rhythm with your relievers? And does that help in a game in, game out basis for you guys?
I feel like I'm actually very good at how to use them. And I don't mean that it's something I take a lot of pride in. And I think the more you play, the more you get to know them, what works, you can get that way. And I've tried to use each struggle this year to make us better. And individually for the players when they struggle, just like this weekend offensively. And like Cooper and Maverick, like those guys struck everybody out in high school. Like coming in with guys on base, they barely pitched in the stretch their entire senior year. And so you just got to get some game experience underneath them. But I feel good about the bullpen right now. I feel really good about it.
Coach, tough weekend for Jared, but the first pitch he sees, he sends it out of the yard.
That was awesome.
How special?
No, he's awesome. That'll work against anybody. And I will tell you, Sunday was a tough game. Friday and Saturday, man, that was life in the SEC. There's nothing wrong with our team. We didn't play great. That's life in the SEC. I felt like Sunday's game was there for the taking, and we didn't, But in the midst of that struggle, and a guy struggling, in his case, I mean, he is front of the dugout, Derek Jeter style, encouraging us, trying to help us get over the top that way. It wasn't maybe contributing the way he wanted to in his performance, but he was still trying to contribute as a leader. So I just feel like the game comes around and rewards you when you have that attitude. And that's great growth for him, and it would be for any player. And I hope our young players see that example. And then it's just you get back to work. I had a meeting with a few guys yesterday. Yeah, it's a long 2 days so far. Yesterday, he was one of them, and it was just right back to work and dialed in, and good to see that tonight out of him.
With Maverick, that's 2 40-plus pitch
Mm-hmm.
outings in a row. Is the goal to sort of get him up to where he can, throw three or 4 innings?
I think he can be a starter here at some point. But how many outs did he get? How many innings did he throw?
2 2/3.
2 2/3. So that's 8 outs on 41 pitches. It's pretty good. William was on a really good track like that. Cowan had 14, I think, this in 50. Yeah, exactly. So they're following the lead of what good pitching is, and that's what you want to see. I think he's improving, and I think because he's not a comfortable at bat, and I think he's getting guys to swing earlier in the count, and it's allowing him to extend a little bit more. And then it was thought about taking him out twice, and I was like, no, they're not seeing him. He's rolling. We need this time, to keep developing him. So that was awesome. The bases loaded, strikeout. That was big time.
With Jacob, what's been kind of the key to honing it?
He's commanding the baseball. Yeah, he's just commanding it. He's worked really hard. He's stayed positive. He's got he will pitch in the major leagues. I mean, honestly, I think he's one of the more surefire guys on this team to be a major league player, and I think there's a few, but I think, I would put, him at the top of the list of somebody I think is going to do that. And, man, it's been electric these last couple outings, and it's only going to get better.
Michael hit the ball well tonight.
He did.
If he can kind of channel what he did last year in conference play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought he took great at bats this weekend, actually, in the Auburn series. And, baseball is a funny game because, like, maybe a lot of the guys that have been in there all the time, like, they're building a little more history with the season. And sometimes you can feel like you're in these, phases, spells, whatever you want to call them. He was just in there competing, and he gave us good at bats. He walked twice on Sunday, and I know he had a hit and walked on Saturday. And that's what you want to see. And that's what I saw when he got going last year. And I actually feel like he's just kind of worked while he's waited, kind of thing. And not really waited. He played all 3 games, half the games at Oklahoma. But handled kind of maybe, hey, it was every pitch, every inning, every game guy last year too. Hey, we're kind of figuring out our best team. He handled that like a pro. Like another good example that I hope a young player paid attention to, because now he's been ready and took great at bats again tonight. So 3 games in a row, really good at bats, a couple nice defensive plays, and winning player. And that's what we need him to be.
At one point, you guys scored 5 runs with 2 outs, 5 consecutive runs with 2 outs. So like, what was sort of different tonight with that 2-out approach?
I think we just, like I said, we honed in on some of the core principles of who we are and who this team has been for 34 games. I'll be honest, like, I don't know if I've had a team play as close to its potential for as long as this team did in a row. And I'm very proud of them for that. And so, like, it just, the game and got caught up to us against a really good team on the road. And more are coming. Like, those series are going to be like that, the rest of the way. Like, so it's a good learning experience. But I think we went back today, and before I knew they were going to throw like 1 billion pitchers. Like, that's kind of been their deal on these midweeks in midst of their 12-game winning streak. That instead of showing them a bunch on what we were facing, I went back to the midnight Mississippi State game, and the guy Ligon has dominated, 2 SEC teams, and I think South Carolina and Mississippi State. No, excuse me, and Alabama, sorry. And, like, hey, man, this guy's throwing 98, and you guys are just tattooing it on a line, and showed them a little bit of, okay, this is a very fundamental principle that we're doing, and that's what it was turning into, like this kind of unstoppable machine for 2 months. And then you pair some of that with some approach things. We really honed in on what guys do well and then tried to bring them back to what they do well individually. And then, you got to compete a little harder with 2 strikes, and we did. And then with runners on base, back to your question, we have a thing we call like a red zone scrimmage. And I just get up there and chuck it as hard as I can, and we go through all the situational hitting things, and it's just one guy after the next and driving them in, and we did that today. And I think they were just ready to get back and compete, and it's good to sleep in your own bed and all of that.
Going back to Michael, just in terms of his mentality,
Mm-hmm.
how much does that speak to the culture that you want this team to have? How hard is that for a guy to say?
Yeah, I'm very proud of that in this day and age. Some football news, recently, like a prominent player moving on and all that, and our whole deal this year is toughness and togetherness. And when you have a 4-year starter in the SEC, granted they all haven't been here, willing to not only just accept a lower role but embrace it and just keep working and get better and know the bigger picture and understand that, it's such a positive example. And that's really hard for him. This is his deal too. Like, this is their lives too. But I would compliment a lot of guys on that. Ashton Larson comes to mind. Like, he's ready to go every time, and I love him, and he's a great hitter. And we kind of caught a good long roll for a long time. It doesn't mean that he's changed, or in some ways he's gotten better as a player, but he's handled it great. Michael handled that great. And we got a lot of guys in that, a couple of the transfers. Like, we nailed the transfer portal this year. And what I mean by that is, obviously we have the guys that are contributing at a high level, and the guys that maybe don't have the role that they're locked into the team. Like, Eddie Ammon is phenomenal. You know what I mean? Dorsey, phenomenal. there's somebody I'm forgetting, right? Jacob Myers in the midst of trying to figure this out. Well, he's going to be a dude now, but like he's been awesome, and the team's doing a great job of that, and Michael has shown the way, in a really positive way.